Hello, beautiful beasts of the broken world. Welcome back to the underbelly of truth, where masks melt, veils burn, and only the scorched remain standing. You didn't come here for comfort. You came here to feel, to awaken something the world tried to bury. Tonight, or should I say today, we dig up the graves of illusions, of betrayals, of the karmic lovebirds, and the spiritual hitmen who dared to think you were prey. Let's begin. You see, there are people who meet you and mistake your kindness for softness. They taste your empathy and think it means you're edible. They look at your patience and whisper to themselves, "Easy target." They've studied your patterns like vultures circling a bleeding deer, but what they didn't know is, you're no deer. You're not even a beast. You're a cosmic event, a divine anomaly, a thunderclap in human skin. But these karmic lovebirds, oh, these sugar-coated devils in human disguise. They flutter in, wearing fake halos and stitched-on innocence. They act like soulmates, like twin flames dipped in honey and smoke. They tell you, we were fated to meet, while they hide the dagger behind their smile. And the moment you let them in, they begin to dig. Dig into your soul, into your past, into your shadow. They don't love you, no. They want access. They want power. They want to drink from your light while they laugh in darkness. And when their game begins to slip, when your intuition starts to scream louder than their gaslight lullabies, here come the spiritual hitmen, the flying monkeys, the enablers, the agents of illusion, disguised as friends, family, or even healers, sent to confuse you, distract you, to make you doubt your vision, to convince you it's your fault, you're crazy, you're broken. But there's something they didn't account for, something their rituals, spells, gossip, and puppet strings could never touch: you, a non-human anomaly, an ascended glitch in their demonic program. You didn't come to Earth to play house with snakes. You came to tear the whole system down. And the moment they found out, the second your soul peeled back the illusion and stared them straight in the face, they panicked. They saw it, the fire behind your eyes, the abyss in your silence, the storm that smiled while they tried to bury you. That's when the karmic lovebirds turned on each other, because their bond was never divine. It was a trauma bond, forged in manipulation and tied together with the blood of people like you. But you didn't bleed, you burned. And fire doesn't mourn paper birds, these hitmen, these spiritual assassins they sent. They tried every trick: energy draining, smear campaigns, dream invasion, even psychic leashes disguised as cords of love. But what happens when you stop being prey? What happens when the hunted becomes unreachable? When your pain turns to power? When your heartbreak becomes a weapon? Let me tell you what happens. They unravel. Their karma, that slow dripping venom they've poured into others for years, it begins to turn on them. The curses they sent return with teeth. The lies they spun become webs they can't escape. And suddenly, the divine union they bragged about, it turns to ash, because no love born from betrayal ever survives truth. And when they look up, when they beg for forgiveness, when they cry out, "What happened to the angel we used to know?" you'll smile, because angels don't carry vendettas, but archdemons do. You didn't just survive their warfare, you evolved in it. You became the very thing their spells could never bind: not love, not rage. A force, a walking karma correction, a divine enforcer in skin and silence. You see, real power doesn't roar. It watches, it waits. And then it ends legacies of abuse in one move. The karmic lovers thought they were feeding on your light. What they didn't know was that every time they betrayed you, they were writing their own sentence, because you were the test. And they failed, and now you're untouchable. You walk with the chaos they tried to drown you in. You dance on the graves of every lie they ever whispered. You don't need revenge. You are the revenge, and every soul that watched you suffer, every mask that laughed while you bled, will have to watch you rise, while the they sink. Because when the universe hides a god in human skin, it also hides a judge. And you, my friend, you're here to collect. Let's talk about the moment they knew. But not the first time you caught their lie, not the second time you walked away and came back with grace. No. I'm talking about the exact moment the karmic lovebirds and their little astral mercenaries realized you weren't human, that this wasn't just another lesson, that you weren't some naive soul waiting to be taught. You were a mirror sent by the cosmos, one that reflects without mercy. And when they looked into you, they didn't see love or forgiveness or warmth. They saw themselves, their rot, their shame, their decay, their games. And in that split second, they crumbled. Because monsters can only survive if they believe they're misunderstood. But you didn't offer understanding. You offered clarity. And clarity kills illusions. It strips away the fantasy, the manipulation, the delusion that they're the main character and you're the footnote. You weren't a footnote. You were the ending. The last chapter they thought they'd rewrite, but the ink was yours. They always said, hurt people hurt people. Right. But they forgot one thing. Awakened people end that cycle. And ending a cycle means there's collateral damage. Oh, and the spiritual hitmen? The ones who thought their incantations and group rituals could stop you. They didn't realize you don't operate on spells. You are one. Your name? A vibration they can't pronounce without choking. Your silence? A hex louder than any chant. Your aura? A firewall that torches. Anything not built is in truth. They tried to read your energy. They tried to tap in. Tried to infiltrate your field with flattery, sex, fake concern, gossip. But they kept hitting a void. Because you're no longer on the grid. You're off map. Astral proof, hex immune, beyond the reach of anyone not built from truth. And that's what scared them, because deep down, they know what you are. Not a light worker, not a shadow worker, not an empath, starseed, or healer. No, you're something they don't have a name for, something ancient, judgmental, unrelenting, a being born not to guide, but to correct, to break patterns, to expose parasites, to shatter false unions wrapped in poetic lies. You are the tower card, the eclipse, the nuclear shift in a timeline full of lies. And you didn't just walk away from them. You let them implode. You didn't smear them. You let truth do the talking. You didn't send karma. You became it. And now they're paranoid. They check their shadows. They dream of you. They see your face in crowds. They hear your voice in silence. Because when they crossed you, they didn't just lose a person. They triggered a cosmic audit. And guess what? You're not accepting apologies. You're not meeting for coffee. You're not revisiting the good times. You're not leaving the door open just in case. No, that chapter is dead, buried, cremated, and you lit the match. You didn't just cut cords. You ripped out the roots and planted sovereignty. in their place. Let them choke on the fruits of their manipulation. Let them rot in the bed they made. Let the karmic birds scream and peck at each other in chaos. Because you've transcended the need to watch. They thought they were the storm. They thought they could wreck you. But you were the quiet apocalypse. And no one saw you coming. I knew you wouldn't flinch, because only the ones forged in hellfire can listen this long and still whisper more. So now, let's peel back the last layer. The layer they never wanted you to see. The truth beneath the mask, beneath their mask. The one that cracks when they finally understand what you truly are. You weren't a soulmate. You were a sentencing, an incarnation of justice wrapped in skin and stillness. You didn't come to dance. You came to demolish. And the karmic lovebirds, they were addicts, addicted to illusions, to puppeteering the hearts of those more divine than them. They saw you as another fix, another high, another beautiful soul to ruin and discard. They couldn't see the divine design in your eyes, because their eyes were too full of themselves. They thought you were the test. But no, they were. And when they failed, when they chose ego over evolution, control over connection, manipulation over meaning, the price wasn't a breakup. The price wasn't even your silence. The price was a spiritual annihilation. Because once you see someone's soul, once you truly see the rot behind the performance, there is no going back. And you didn't just see it, you saw it and didn't flinch. You stood there, unblinking, as their entire facade crumbled, and they knew. You weren't looking at a person anymore. You were staring down a verdict. That's when it shifted. They stopped trying to manipulate you. They started to fear you, fear your glow, fear your power, fear your knowing. Because you saw everything? The lies they told behind closed doors, the names they whispered when they thought you were sleeping, the masks they wore to impress their next victim. You saw the game, and you ended it without a word. But the spiritual hitmen, the wolves in healers' clothing, the friends turned informants, they couldn't handle it either, because you kept surviving. And not just surviving, glowing, expanding, transmuting every knife into a weapon, every scar into scripture. And let me tell you something they'll never admit. They tried everything. Astral attacks, energetic siphoning, dream poisoning, guilt trips, fake concern, rituals wrapped in love spells, even threats hidden behind spiritual jargon like "you're out of alignment" or "you're attracting this." But nothing worked, because how do you manipulate a soul that remembers it was born in flames? How do you break someone who's already died and came back laughing? They thought you were in a storm. They didn't realize you are the storm. And now the winds have shifted. Now the karma comes in slow, sharp waves. Relationships collapse, fortunes wither. Their names get dragged, not by your voice, but by the vibrations of truth rippling through the cosmos. And you walk in silence, cloaked in peace, too healed to retaliate, too evolved to explain. But that silence, it's deafening. Because they expected vengeance, they expected drama, they expected screams. But what they got was disappearance, elevation, detachment, unreachable sovereignty. And that is the ultimate punishment. To be blocked from the very light they tried to destroy. To realize too late that you were the one thing they could have never earned, never owned, never replaced. And now Now they have to live with the echo of your absence, a silence that eats through their lies like acid, a void that sings only one song: you failed the test. So let them spiral, let them project, let them call you heartless, let them tell their new supply you're evil now. Because the truth? They didn't meet a villain. They met a mirror, and what they saw terrified them. There comes a moment, a rare, irreversible moment, when the cosmic balance sheet gets printed, when all the energetic debts, betrayals, stolen power, and fake love are tallied up. And the universe, it doesn't forget a damn thing. You see these karmic lovebirds, with their trauma bonds wrapped in poetry, with their twin flame excuses and gaslight glitter lies. They were so sure they'd win, because they've always won, always escaped with the story in their hands, always rewritten the past to cast themselves as the victim, or the martyr, or the misunderstood empath, just trying to love a broken soul. But what happens when they mess with something not from here? What happens when the one they tried to break isn't breakable? You weren't sent to be loved by them. You were sent to expose them. And that's what they can't face. You weren't confused. You weren't naive. You were patient, letting them dig deeper and deeper until the shovel hit bedrock. And still they kept digging. Because narcissism is hungry and karma is blind until you show up. You, the exception to their rule. The one person they couldn't manipulate, seduce, or erase. They tried to make you look crazy, didn't they? Told everyone you were upset, unstable, dangerous. But funny thing about truth, it ages better than lies. And now those same people are starting to see the cracks in the karmic couple's performance, in the hitmen's fake enlightenment, in the whole cursed empire built on betrayal and projection, because you walked away and they come spiraled. And no one spirals from peace. No one destroys themselves trying to prove the devil was innocent, unless there's a devil in the mirror. But here's the part that really haunts them. You didn't retaliate. You transcended. You didn't match their energy. You became untouchable to it. And that is spiritual warfare of the highest kind. Because now they can't reach you. Not in dreams, not in whispers, not through mutuals, not through new lovers disguised as messengers. They burned the bridge and now they're screaming across the canyon, begging the void for a second chance. But you don't answer, because you don't speak desperation. You speak rebirth, and every day you rise is another nail in the coffin of their delusion. They wanted to destroy you to feed their cycle, but instead, you collapsed the entire loop. You ended the pattern. You cut the karmic bloodline with silence sharper than steel. And now the karmic birds, they flap their broken wings in circles, trying to recreate a high they only felt in your presence, trying to fake a connection they never earned, trying to mimic divinity with mouths full of sin. But the spiritual realm doesn't play pretend, and energy never lies. And so now every lie they told about you becomes their reality. Every mask they wore around others becomes their identity. And every spell they cast in secret returns home, delivered by the same spirits they tried to manipulate, because you don't mess with cosmic order, not without consequences. And you didn't have to curse them. You were the curse, wrapped in human skin, humming with divine wrath, a walking truth bomb with a pulse. And once they realized what you were, it was already too late. You want to know what really broke them? Not your absence, not your silence, not even your elevation. It was the moment they realized they were never going to get another version of you. Not in this life, not in the next, not in any realm where truth still breathes. Because you weren't a phase, you were a portal, a chance to break their curse, a moment of divine mercy wrapped in mortal flesh. But mercy has limits. They thought you were here to teach them about love, but you were sent to expose their counterfeit version of it. You were the flame testing their purity. And what did they do? They ran, not walked, ran, straight into the arms of their own reflections. Another karmic bird with a painted halo, another spiritual assassin with a cheap grin, another fake healer who fed their ego and called it healing. They left a kingdom for a stage. They left a portal for a performance. And now the curtain's falling and everything's on fire. Because here's the truth they choke on when no one's watching. They didn't choose the karmic because it was meant to be. They chose the karmic because it was easy, predictable, safe, full of lies that felt familiar. They didn't want love, they wanted control. And you were uncontrollable. You saw too much, you remembered too much. You kept dreaming of ancient lifetimes and timelines they couldn't comprehend. You weren't in love, you were again on assignment. And once you completed your task, once the deception was exposed and the mask hit the floor, you vanished. No warning, no fireworks, just a cosmic lock clicking shut. And now, they call it a lesson. They try to spiritualize it. Oh, they were just a catalyst. We were just meant to trigger each other's healing. But you know. They weren't triggered. They were unmasked. They weren't healing. They were now dying. Because your energy isn't meant to comfort dysfunction. It's meant to collapse it. And the hitmen, the fake friends, the energy leeches, the co-signers of abuse, they've gone quiet. Their rituals now feel hollow. Their voices tremble when they speak your name, because they finally understand this wasn't about drama. It was about destiny. And they just picked wrong. They picked the lie. They picked the mask. They picked each other. Two wounded birds flapping in circles, calling it union. But you walked alone, head high. No smear campaign, no closure, no war, just the quiet violence of Ascension. And let me tell you something that echoes in the back of their mind every time they think they've moved on. You didn't level up. You left the game because you were never a player. You were the reset. And now they'll spend lifetime after lifetime searching for that frequency again, begging the universe to send someone like you. But the universe won't, because lightning doesn't beg, it only strikes once. And it already did, at first. It's just silence, a strange, echoing emptiness, where your energy used to be. No texts, no signs.